Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be a collector of people? Yeah, me neither. But someone sure has, and they went and created a horror movie on that sole premise. Because collecting old stamps, coins, or anime waifu figurines apparently just doesn't cut it anymore. But do you know what other people like to collect? Your passwords. But I've got a solution to that. Today's sponsor, NordPass. Oh god, I'm smooth. Have you ever thought about just how secure your passwords may be? Are you one of the people who use the most popular passwords worldwide? 123456?
What's your password?
Subscribe to Big Will.
Do you sign into multiple services using something like Facebook, meaning that if someone gets into there, then they'll get into everything? The consequences reach much further than just having your personal information potentially doxed. There are far more serious crimes that could happen, such as identity theft, crimes committed under your name, or even loans taken out under your name. But you might think that something like that would never happen to you. But the reality is that it very well could if you're not smart about it. Well, NordPass takes away all of the fuss of having to create and remember a bunch of intricate passwords in its nice little password manager, meaning that there's no need to memorize them all, and you can access all of your logins with one single master password. It's got a neat little autofill option for quick use, it can generate complex passwords that are harder to crack, and it even syncs your credentials across 6 of your devices, so you don't have to type them in each time you get a new device. The great thing about it is that NordPass is a zero-knowledge password manager, which means that no one else but you can see what's in your encrypted vault, not even the NordPass team. So if you think that you could do with upping your virtual defenses, much like how the family in this movie are very much going to wish they upped their physical defenses, click my link in the description for a 2-year plus 1 month free premium plan using code BIGWILL with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And now back to the weird people collecting guy. The movie begins by showing us a happy couple returning to their empty home, and as the man is attempting to read the mail on the kitchen counter, he realizes that for some reason, all of his kitchen light bulbs have been removed, followed by an even stranger discovery as when they both go upstairs to the bedroom, they see a random box that certainly wasn't there when they left, and after suggesting that it could have been left by a workman on the property, it suddenly jolts as if something or someone is inside of there. As the man unlocks the latches, we see his horrified reaction, quickly followed by him being grabbed by someone from behind. And then it cuts to a completely different house, also undergoing work by various different tradesmen. Arkin, one of the workmen, is roped into a tea party by Hannah, the youngest daughter of the family, and after entertaining her for a while, he suddenly spots a spider crawling up the side of the cup that she's drinking from, and quickly stops her before being interrupted by her father Michael, who then slips Arkin a little extra pay after learning that he too has a young daughter about the same age as Hannah. Arkin also meets the family's eldest daughter, Jill, currently in her rebellious phase, as she talks Arkin into giving her a drag off his cigarette, followed by her sneaking back into the family home, which suddenly erupts into an argument as she learns that they're all leaving for a vacation. That night, as Arkin's work is done for the day, he heads over to his girlfriend's place of work, gives his daughter a surprise teddy, and learns that his girlfriend is in some pretty deep water, as she owes someone more money than they have, and they want it back tonight. After convincing her that running away won't solve this problem, he manages to reassure and settle her by promising that he'll have the money she needs by midnight tonight. But how will Arkin get hold of that money? Well, after meeting with an acquaintance, we learn that Arkin is actually a safecracker and that he's been casing the family home that he's been working on. He knows where the safe is, and he knows that there's a particularly big and expensive gem located in it. More than enough to pay off the loan sharks and then some. He just needs to get it done by midnight. So with the plan made, a little later on, he arrives back at the very same house, pulls down his ski mask, grabs his tools, and makes his way through the yard. In the process, almost having his face completely mangled by a guard dog that almost certainly wasn't there back in the day, but brushing that narrow near-death encounter off, and with one thing on his mind, he carries on and picks the front door lock. He notices as he makes his way up the stairs a certain creaky step that would almost certainly be a dead giveaway if someone were to walk up it, and begins heading to the big mirror that the safe is hidden behind. And as he's walking across the landing, he hears what he thinks are the floorboards creaking in Hannah's room, but after a quick glance revealing nothing, he finds the mirror and gets to work. But as he's doing what he does, as the house is overwhelmed by the complete deafening sound of silence, he suddenly hears a key being put into the front door, followed by somebody slowly entering the house and the sound of the stair creaking, 100% confirming that he is not alone here. With the job beginning to go bad, he quickly pulls the mirror back down and hides as another unknown masked intruder stands directly on the opposite side of the wall to him. But with him not seeing and not knowing if it's a member of the family who decided just to not leave on the vacation, another thief, or something far more nefarious, he decides that it's far too risky and slips his way back down the stairs, but he's then confronted by a locked front door with multiple new locks that surely weren't there back in the middle of the day. He hides as the masked man heads down into the basement, and Darkin's given the perfect opportunity to make his exit as if he was never there, but he suddenly realizes that he has no choice. He needs that money for his partner, otherwise things are going to get bad. So as he makes his way back up the stairs, avoiding the creaky step, he suddenly hears the cries of someone being carried through the air vents. Before he's able to properly process what's occurring, Michael suddenly emerges from the basement and collapses in a bloodied and beaten state in the very room that Arkin is attempting to hide in. And unfortunately for Arkin, they both make eye contact. Michael, thinking that he is somehow responsible for doing this to him, reaches for his golf club, accidentally triggering an intricate set of tripwires that wrap around his ankle and drop him from above the staircase. Very quickly being thrusted into something that he didn't expect, Arkin now decides it's the right time to leave, but he can't. The windows are boarded up, and when he goes to call for assistance with the house phone, he doesn't realize the pin sticking out of it that he unknowingly pushes right into his ear. Getting increasingly panicked about the situation, he tries to rip the boards from the window, but they too are booby-trapped with razors sticking out of the side, holding his hands in place and forcing him to rip them free. Understandably, incredibly on edge, in pain, and very confused, he then notices that the entire house is laced with similar traps, as he very nearly walks into one of them that would have resulted in multiple nails being sent through his skull. After a brief game of cat and mouse between the pair of them, Arkin is able to make his way downstairs, as he then walks into a strip of fishing wire, very nearly entangling himself in the process. As he heads the other way, he then discovers an entire room filled with bear traps, as if it's an episode of Tom and Jerry, but the mouse traps have been replaced with something far more bone-snapping. And with the masked man searching around for someone who he's not quite sure is even there, Arkin's forced to descend down into the basement, meticulously checking each step as he goes, in the hope that he'll find another way out down there. But what he ends up finding is something that he could never have been prepared for. Michael, restrained to a chair, incredibly beaten, as if someone has been taking multiple different weapons and tools to his face, as well as both of his feet, which are completely mangled, as if something's been violently forced into them. He explains to Michael that he has absolutely nothing to do with what's occurring, and that he's trying to help him get free. Michael tells him that his wife Victoria is in the other room, his eldest daughter Jill left before the man arrived, and that he has no idea if his youngest daughter Hannah is even still here. He tells Arkin the safe code so he can get Michael's gun, and that he can find the bullets in the bedroom drawer. As he enters the other room, he discovers Victoria gagged, blindfolded, and handcuffed to a bathtub. And after going to remove the blindfold, he realizes that there are pins forced into the side of her face that will serve as a dead giveaway, literally, if someone were to remove the blindfold and then put it back. So without a clear way out of here yet, and realizing that she may need to stay there a bit longer, he leaves it in place, and she tells him that Hannah is indeed somewhere in the house. Arkin's got a plan to head back upstairs to try and find her. He tells Victoria that he's going to need her to scream loudly to create a distraction to give him an opportunity to slip back upstairs. The plan does indeed work, but as punishment for making a noise, the masked man squeezes a pair of wire cutters against her tongue, fortunately for her, not cutting it off in the process. But unfortunately for Michael, he then turns his attention to him and proceeds to cut him some more, because screw Michael I guess. Arkin then gets the gun from the safe, as well as the gem, because why not, before finding the box of bullets completely empty, leaving him with nothing more than a heavy paperweight. He suddenly hears a noise that he believes to be Hannah, but on further investigation, he discovers a box, the very same box that the couple found in their house back in the beginning of the movie. And as he opens the rattling box, the same man from the beginning suddenly falls out. His name is Larry, and he tells Arkin that the masked man comes into people's homes to collect them, like a demented version of Pokemon cards, and that he kills everyone else that he doesn't want. And he just brings his previous victim along with him, as if it's bring your kidnap victim to work day or something. Larry then begins to make a lot of noise, forcing Arkin to put him back into the box, when suddenly he spots an open window. And when something looks too good to be true, it usually is, as when he heads straight towards it without thinking, he ends up trapped in some kind of acidic glue substance substance, along with the Shrieking Family Cat. Arkin removes his feet from his shoes to free himself, in the process accidentally making a loud noise and alerting the masked man. He pulls the cat free, and as it jumps up to the window ledge to free itself, it accidentally triggers a guillotine trap that drops down onto it. Now the family have 2 cats. With the threat of the masked man now making his way up the stairs, Arkin quickly covers his shoe and hides beneath a mountain of pillows, so when the masked man makes it there, it just appears that the cat managed to break free and caused a loud noise in the process. Arkin heads back down to the basement to make the unfortunate discovery that Michael has been hung upside down and completely disemboweled. Because really, screw Michael, I guess. He tells Victoria that Hannah must have made it out of the house before using a paperclip to uncuff Victoria's hands. He tells her once they enter the next room to no matter what she does, do not remove her eyes from his back, followed by her instantly removing her eyes from his back and being freaked out due to the sight of her husband's insides all over the outside, and sprints up the stairs to be confronted by the masked man, who proceeds to repeatedly and violently stab her in the gut. Hiding under the desk, Arkin watches as the man enters the room with the keys around his waist and black reflective eyes, before then watching the man make his way over to a spider and freeing it from the house, a spider that's remarkably similar to the one Arkin saved Hannah from hours earlier, and a spider that also has remarkably similar eyes to this killer. As the man leaves with Victoria's somehow still alive body, Arkin makes his way back upstairs as we witness the man pour gasoline all over Victoria's body and sew her mouth shut as he captures it all with an audio recorder. As Arkin is listening to the muffled screams travelling through the air vents, he suddenly hears a car horn. It's Jill and her boyfriend, making out in his car, completely unaware of the horrors unfolding inside of the house. In an attempt to save them, he smashes open the window and begins to call out to Jill as she and her boyfriend make their way to the front door. Not hearing Arkin and not able to get in, they make their way around to the back as we see the masked man conveniently unlock the door for them. He sits there, crouched in the corner, watching them kiss like the weird little pervert that he is, as Arkin makes his way down the stairs to see the man getting a little too comfortable watching the pair get intimate. Suddenly they spot the creepy masked man crouched down watching them, and as the boyfriend swings a punch at him, it meets the man's blade as it goes all of the way through his hand. The masked man pulls out the knife and pushes the boyfriend backwards into a trap that slices off his fingers, before he then falls backwards onto the bear traps that completely consume his entire body in a horrifically brutal fashion. Yep, just like Tom and Jerry. He grabs Jill, but not before she's able to dial and call 911, and Arkin, upstairs, breaks away the boards covering a window and creates a distraction with an alarm clock, giving him the opportunity to get downstairs and free Jill, who is now restrained to the banister with barbed wire around her throat. But as he frees her, she doesn't trust him and reaches for a pair of scissors that triggers a trap and sends her flying across the room into a wall of nails. Coming downstairs to find her there, the masked man is now certain that there's someone else inside of the house. Whereas before, apparently all of those things Arkin didn't fully convince the man that there was someone else there. Well, for all he knows, Victoria could have been a magician, and that's how she got out of the handcuffs. Thinking that there's only one other person that he can save now, Arkin heads back up the stairs to try and free the man from the box, but discovers that he's had nails forced through his feet, sticking him in place. And as he hears the masked man coming, he's forced to abandon him and break out of the window alone. He jumps down to the ground and runs off into the darkness of the property, but turns around to see Hannah in the upstairs window and the masked man in the downstairs window. So he runs back to the house, climbs up the side, and as the man is about to grab Hannah, Arkin pistol whips him. Locking him out of a bedroom, Arkin devises a plan to knock over the fish tank and to then have Hannah push the plugged-in TV to the ground. But as the door breaks down, the masked man throws the man from the box into the room, frying him instead and leaving the masked man unharmed. Arkin grabs Hannah and runs into another room and walks directly into a fishing hook that plants itself in his eyelid. The masked man suddenly begins using the head of the dead man to break open the door handle because apparently he's got a thing for the theatrics, and breaks in just after Arkin sends Hannah down the laundry chute. The pair begin to fight back and forth on the bathroom floor, and just as Arkin is able to remove the man's mask and see his face, he's knocked unconscious because his looks are to die for. I'm sorry. Arkin then wakes up as the masked man rather rudely slices his head open, and he then realizes that he's handcuffed and has hooks forced through his hands and back. The man places a chisel against his tooth and repeatedly hits it with a hammer until it falls to the ground, reinforcing the fact that we've already learnt due to his past actions, he's enjoying himself. This isn't business, this isn't fun, this is sadistic enjoyment. This is all occurring while Hannah is hidden beneath the same desk that Arkin was previously, watching on as the masked man slices at Arkin's stomach and forces a group of large cockroaches to begin eating the wound. But suddenly, there's a brief moment of respite as a police car pulls up outside of the house to check on the 911 call that Jill made before quite literally being flung across the room to act as a human pincushion. But with a slight glance down at the remaining runtime of the movie, that brief moment of relief is overcome with dread as you realize that the masked man's got at least another 10 to 15 minutes of being a madman, which is quickly confirmed as after spotting the dead mangled boyfriend through the window, the officer comes face to face, well, mask to face, with the man before suddenly being pounced on and mauled by the dog. Using the distraction to his advantage, Arkin rips the hooks from his hands, picks the handcuff, and then forces himself forwards, causing the skin to tear from the hooks in his back. Arkin discovers Victoria's now lifeless body, as well as an explosive device that's going to take out the whole house. After the masked man retrieves the officer's shotgun, the pair make eye contact as the man enters the home with the dog. Arkin pulls Hannah up the laundry chute just as she's about to be turned into doggy kibble, and as it begins sprinting its way upstairs to them, Arkin lights a trash can on fire and forces it over the dog's head, before launching the ultimate improvised weapon at the man, a flaming dog. The gun gets knocked down into the basement, and the men once again start fighting each other, and Arkin, in his infinite wisdom, kicks the man down into the basement, where the gun is. But Arkin managed to get a hold of the man's keys in the process, so he and Hannah run off to the front door for them to realize that the front door key has been snapped off. So by placing a mirror in front of the door reflecting them, the masked man fires at it, blowing the door open in the process, and Arkin triggers one of the traps that drops down a chandelier with knives onto the man. Because like I said earlier, he's got a thing for the theatrics. They run out of the front door and towards an oncoming convoy of police cars and ambulances, but Arkin gets a little too enthusiastic as he runs out in front of them and gets hit in the process. They must have thought he was resisting, and as he's being lifted into the ambulance, the house suddenly explodes, and Arkin tells the police officer that the man he saw was the exterminator working on the property earlier in the day, an exterminator who we actually saw when they met. Because apparently, like Arkin, this man uses the exact same technique, but instead of breaking in to steal things of worth, he's breaking in to steal people. But despite all of the unfortunate and horrific events that have unfolded this night, Arkin reaches down into his pocket to realize that he still has the gem, and to top it off, it's not even midnight yet. He's going to be able to pay off his partner's debt, and everything is going to be absolutely fine. Oh. The masked man, apparently taking a liking to Arkin, opens the door, kills the EMT, and forces Arkin into the box. And the post-credits scene shows the man sitting on top of the box with Arkin in as he looks at pictures of the next house and the next group of victims. I just wanted to say thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, why not follow me on Twitter for updates about more things coming soon. And before it comes to an end, I just want to give a big shout out to my patrons, the people who continue to help make this stuff happen every week. So that being said, a big thank you to Dom, Hunters263, Rebecca Pitts, A Dandy in Space, Martin Brannan, Natasha Twyman, Jared C. Bees, Pascal Mathis, Fighting the Pirates, Richard McGowan III, Macy J, Reese Harford, Horatio, Remy Patterson, Chris, Michelle, Newcomb, Dennis, Wade Knott, Ike, Ashley L. Wince, Austin Wypert, Christopher Butsky, Joshua Torres, Billy Kyle, Remy, Fire Goes Fast, Josh Brooks, and Ash Kamahara. So once again, a big thank you to all of my patrons, and thank you to everyone else for watching.